we elect a parliament, or more specifically, we elect a House of Commons. A government is formed out of that parliament. We do not directly elect the government. It may look like that at times. At general elections, there may be a personalised aspect of almost choosing between, two personalities, be it Corbyn and Johnson, or whoever we get at the next election to choose between. But that's not what's actually going on. And for so long as that government can command what's known as the confidence of the House of Commons, it can carry on functioning, and there's no need for a general election. So you're absolutely right to point that out. We do not directly elect a president. We do not directly elect ministers. We elect a parliament, and we elect a House of Commons, and a government is formed out of that parliament. Now, it's very common, actually, for the job of Prime Minister to change hands in between elections. In fact, if you look since the Second World War, it's happened more often that way than through a general election. So many Prime Ministers, and if you look at recent Conservative Prime Ministers, Theresa May in 2016 came to power initially without a general election. Boris Johnson came to power in 2019 initially without a general election. Then he had one. Liz Truss came to power this year without a general election. And we're going to have another Prime Minister. So that's 4 in a row who come to power, first of all, without a general election. There's no constitutional problem with that. There may be a political problem.
And I'm going to take you into different territory now, because I think you've brilliantly talked us through a whole host of the scenarios and the historical context, so I appreciate that as well. But going forward, is there an argument that actually you don't want to be Prime Minister at the moment? As much as the Labour Party make protestations, and I heard Sir Keir Starmer talking overnight as well, that he's desperate for another general election to sort this mess out as well, and that Rishi Sunak or Boris Johnson might want to be Prime Minister. Quite frankly, it's going to be one of the most difficult times to lead the country as well, and to get out of multiple messes as well. Is there an argument for not wanting to be PM at the moment and playing a longer game?
Well, I think if you want to have Prime Minister on your CV, then I guess any time is a good time to go for it. But if you want to actually be a successful Prime Minister, and this was always going to be a challenge for Truss coming in, everyone knew this, it's not necessarily the best time. I suppose the other side to that is that you don't, the chance to be Prime Minister doesn't necessarily come along twice. And these are people who have thought about being Prime Minister perhaps from a very young age. It's a thing they maybe dreamed of. And you don't know when the chance is going to come along again. But absolutely, it's certainly not dream circumstances in which to take over. And I think whoever takes over the Conservative Party will realistically know that the chances of actually turning it around and getting a win at the next general election are slight, but maybe they could improve circumstances. So maybe the best that history could say of them is that they took over in a bad situation and made things less bad than they might otherwise have been. And that's something to have. But yeah, absolutely, it's not the dream circumstance in which you might want to come into the job.